Kacey and Luna here today. We are going to go test out the fluke that I saw in the last video where the car made the exit that it never has before. And we'll see if it's a fluke or if it's real. Join us as we find out. Okay, first is coming up to a stoplight down around a curve. The car is doing 35, and it's stopping a little aggressively, but not at all like I was complaining about before. Didn't feel dangerous. Okay, so I'm just gonna record all of it and cut it to size because, well, it's not that long of a ride. The car is trying to pass these people because they're going so much slower than the set speed. It still has, or not still has, but it's amped up on its response to people in the lane over from the lane that you're in, particularly tractor trailers. And now it wants to get right back in the lane it was trying to leave. They really got to work on what they want to do about passing people. Because it wants to pass, and then it's like, nah, we got to get where we're going, so it's going to jump back in the lane. All right, so this is the turn right here. It's a simple right-hand turn. Typically what will happen is the car will exit to the right, and then it will randomly pick the left or the right straight lane. And what it's going to do, hopefully, if that wasn't a fluke on the last video, is it will stay in the right lane, and then it'll signal right, and then take the ramp right and yield. Well, the yield is up to me, but to get in that lane, we're going much slower than typical. All right, here we go. Exit. Now let's see what it does. Now it's always known on the map what it needed to do. The question is if it still tries to make the right-hand exit. Oh, there's a signal, and it's not going straight. Oh my goodness. All right, so anybody who says there's nothing in this point update is wrong. What I'm gonna do next is I'm going to try the exit at the supercharger after we get these groceries and see how it behaves on that exit. See if it's just this one that it got right, or if there's new logic for all of the exits that's not listed on the changelog. That is really cool stuff. I mentioned the car slowing for turns even on regular cruise control. I did just miss a couple of them, but maybe after this stoplight. The on-ramp coming up is a perfect example of this. So what I'll do is I'll put it in manual cruise control and start to steer around. You'll see that the speed sticks, and then I'll switch it over to navigate on autopilot. It'll be harder to demonstrate because of this truck, but the car might get sensitive. All right, so it's set to 40, it's doing 35. It's slowing down on its own without the truck, 33. There we go, slowing down further without the truck because of how I've turned the wheel. And then it picks back up. So that's what I was discussing on the last video. And so we'll see now what lane it picks when it gets to the next exit. All right, so it still has that behavior when the lane is too wide that it kind of goes back and forth till it finds the center. And if I had passed this on my own, it would also have zoomed over for no good reason. Just because the lane gets temporarily wider doesn't mean that you need to take up the whole lane. Stick up to what you saw last, and then see if it sticks around, then center yourself. All right, so we'll see what lane it puts us in when it takes this exit. Oh wow, somebody had mentioned this. Preconditioning battery for fast charging. All right, so continuing on to see, there we go, right signal, and the turn. Slows down aggressively, then it'll drop the speed limit down to 45 for no good reason. I think because we've deviated so far from the highway that it, all right, so it picked the right lane for there, which it usually does. I think it deviated so far from the highway that it assumes that we're on the surface street now, because there isn't actually a 45 mile an hour speed limit here. All right, let's see what lane it picks and if I have to correct it or not. Because it knows it needs to turn left. So it should pick one of the left two lanes. It usually picks a right lane. Yep. Whoa, it's trying to pick the far right lane. All right, so only that last exit actually had the right logic, unfortunately. I wonder if that had to do with it thinking that the off-ramp was not an off-ramp, but part of the surface streets. Don't have too many more errands to run, but I will check it out on a future date, and if I have the camera with me, I'll make a video. If I have the phone with me, I won't make a video because, as you saw coming up here, the troopers be out. That's actually a pretty solid speed for this percentage of the battery. I wonder if there's anything else they tweaked about it. Clearly still not the percentage, but I did point that out in the last video, so I'm guessing what happened, why I didn't see that message before, was we'd been traveling all day, so the car battery wasn't hot enough, or was too hot to need preconditioning. But what was interesting that we even got that was it had been charging for at least 30 minutes at the grocery store at a 6.6 kilowatt charger. Interesting. Next up is seeing how well the car does with the exit leading up to the apartment, to see if it takes the right lane or if only that one exit is appropriately set up. So on the way to check out this last exit, now it's a perfect opportunity to remind you that we've got a Patreon. If you look in the description below, that really helps the channel out. And if you like what you see, give us a subscribe. Turn that red subscribe button gray. And then as soon as this light turns green, we'll be on our way to test out this last exit to see if it behaves the same way. Another thing I noticed with this update is that it no longer wants to get over too many lanes for this exit right here. Normally it would want to get out of this lane that we're in for no good reason. It does need to get out of that lane, which it did, but normally then it would try to get out of this lane as well, which it didn't. So for a point upgrade, it sure did have some nice logic in it. And as Green showed, Green the Only on Twitter, he showed that it's got new signage for roundabouts and speed limit signs. It's got the assets that would go there in the full self-driving preview. Apparently I spoke too soon. All I did was move where it wanted to get out of the lane for no good reason. This lane is fine to stay in the whole way. But it didn't do it right away like it used to. So I guess that's a little better. The exit's coming up, so let's see how it does. Bam. Okay, that part's the same as it always has been. Let's see if it goes straight or turns right. It should turn right. Yeah, it's going straight. All right, so we got 1 out of 3. Here, I was saying that if I come right on red, after I make sure it's clear, assuming it doesn't turn green first, the car will exit the cruise control. Here we go. There it is. Cruise control canceled. You're on your own. We don't want liability for this. Enjoy your life. Here's an example of what I was talking about repeatedly with the stop sign control beta, where if you pull the trigger to make it go, which I'm going to do, and then I'm going to turn right around the corner, typically the car will stop halfway through. Oh, it did fine that time, of course, because it's on camera. We'll find another one. Oh wow, it did that curve. That's one of the things I was talking about, where with the slows on the curves. Even though the speed limit is just 15, it's a sharp enough turn that it slowed down. Let's do it again. There it is.
How would they have solar cell?
Oh, cool. The problems tend to be on the right-hand turns, so let's try this, and we'll try a right-hand turn next and see what happens. Well, that was a right-hand turn last time, wasn't it? It was. So let's try left and see how it behaves. It just crawls. And then it wants to speed up, and then it slows down, and it's fine. What I might have to do is just go to the one that freaks out every time and see how it does. All right, traffic control at 500 feet. I don't know why it slows down so heavily here. There's no reason to slow down. There we go. Just stop it in the road. This could use work. So I wonder if it didn't actually stop on the road, but rather I was afraid of getting rear-ended by rushed people. Because this is one of the stop signs where I always complain about how it handles it. So let's make sure there's no traffic. There's none. We turn right. All right, so it does its thing slowly. No, it stops in the middle of the road. That is exactly what I was talking about. So some stop signs it gets. Like I said, if this one I wanted to go straight, it would be fine. This one you can't see around the corner, so you really have to get out of the stop sign control. Otherwise, you will get hit, and you won't know what hit you. Okay, so once this CRV passes, you'll see what I'm talking about, where it's good if you don't have to turn. All right, so we stop, and we keep going. Pretend the speed limit is like 35, 40, a much more useful number. Watch this guy taking up the whole road. Let's see how the car behaves with that. Okay. What a jerk. The car did great. He saw he was on my way and just kept going. Like, as you can see, I'm on the edge of the road. Now, if he was in any Tesla, I'd be like, yeah, it's fine. They're wide bodies. Or even an H2 or something that demanded that. It was a little, what was that, a Volkswagen? All right, so there we go. Go straight. And yeah. So it's fine when you're going straight. All right, let's do an auto park just because. I'm not actually allowed to park here because I don't have a pass. Let's see if the Range Rover tries to hit us. Probably. No, they seem to have a little more patience than many of our neighbors. Come on, car. All right, so it probably won't retry this one. Nope. But when you do auto parks, sometimes it will sit there and retry and retry. So these behaviors are new to me to 2020.20.12. A couple of them I saw in 2020.20.5, and it shows that they're continuing to improve this, even though they didn't call it out in the software updates page. And I will continue to do more deep dives into the software updates to get them out to you. Thanks for watching. See you on the next one.